Coco Gauff's Thanksgiving surprise leaves New Orleans kids speechless. Here's what Coco Cauff did that uplifted the hearts of tennis fans. Coco Gauff isn't just spending Thanksgiving week celebrating. In fact, she is spending it uplifting the next generation of tennis players. The reigning Roland Garros champion made a surprise visit to a youth tennis clinic in New Orleans East, bringing joy, inspiration, and renewed hope to young athletes training on newly refurbished courts dedicated in her honor. Coco Gauff gives back to the community via tennis. According to Tennis Now, the 10 public courts at Joe West Brown Park were renovated earlier this year, as part of the U.S. Open Legacy Initiative, a national initiative established to celebrate Gauff's 2023 U.S. Open women's singles title. The USTA vowed $3 million, equal to what Gauff earned in prize money in 2023, to be used for restoring public tennis courts in the country. New Orleans was a specific choice by the Gauff family because of how connected the family is to the city on a personal level. Being back at the place that molded her family's history made the moment even more special for the 20-year-old champion. For Gauff, New Orleans has a super close place to her heart, and returning here won't be a problem. U.S. Open Legacy Initiative expands tennis access nationwide. Growing up, Gauff was among those training on public courts in Delray Beach, Florida. She knows how much accessible tennis facilities can empower young players. She is proof of the outcome that the community courts could have on the emergence of budding talents. According to Brian Vahely, chairman of the board and interim co-CEO of the USTA, the initiative has connected elite tennis with local communities in a powerful way. Refurbishing the public courts paved the way for expanded access to the game. The USTA has confirmed that the New Orleans event marked the fulfillment of the national goal of the Legacy Initiative. Over 700 tennis courts have been improved around the country, and each location now proudly displays a plaque commemorating Gauff's U.S. Open victory. Thanksgiving morning in New Orleans usually begins with the sound of brass bands echoing from distant corners, the smell of spices drifting out of kitchens, and families gathering long before the sun has fully declared itself awake. But this year, something extraordinary stirred in the city before the parades rolled and the feasts began. At the newly refurbished courts in Gentilly, the very ones renamed in her honor just months earlier, a group of children had gathered for what they believed was just a holiday tennis clinic. Coaches handed out rackets, volunteers arranged cones, and parents huddled on the sidelines clutching coffee cups to defy the early chill. But beneath the bubbling surface of that ordinary morning, a secret was waiting. One that would turn this clinic into a moment the city would talk about long after Thanksgiving leftovers vanished. Because they didn't know who was coming. The kids thought they were here to learn tennis. They didn't know Coco Gauff was already on her way. A hidden arrival. Coco's SUV rolled up quietly, no press entourage, no microphones, no speeches prepared. She stepped out in a simple hoodie, her curls tucked under a cap, moving like someone who belonged here, someone home. And in many ways, she was. New Orleans isn't Coco's birthplace, but its spirit, bold, rhythmic, passionate, has always matched hers. When the courts were refurbished and named after her earlier in the year, she promised she would return. She promised she would do more than lend her name. Today, she was here to keep that promise. She whispered to the organizers, "Don't announce me yet. Let me just walk in." And so she did. A few kids glanced over at the tall figure approaching the baseline, but none of them quite believed what their eyes were suggesting. Then one girl, clutching a pink racket almost as big as her, whispered to her friend, "Is that Gauff?" The moment the realization spread, the courts erupted. A moment that made New Orleans freeze. Kids screamed. Coaches blinked, unsure how best to contain the excitement. Parents scrambled for their phones. A few young boys ran in circles, unsure what to do with the thrill pulsing through them. One boy yelled, "No way! No way! No way!" Coco smiled, shy at first, like she wasn't sure she deserved this kind of chaos. But then, as the kids rushed toward her, their eyes wide with disbelief, she opened her arms. It was as if a forest of tiny hands suddenly reached for her at once. But she stayed present, kneeling down to greet each child, responding to every excited voice, every question, every breathless. I can't believe you're here. This wasn't a cameo. This was presence. Real, human, generous presence. The kind that leaves a mark deeper than a trophy ever could. Then the magic really began. All right, she said, clapping her hands. Who wants to hit with me? Pandemonium. She jumped straight into the clinic, feeding balls to kids who had never hit a forehand cleanly before, chasing down errant shots with dramatic flair to make them laugh, demonstrating serves with exaggerated slow-motion swings, dropping motivational gems disguised as jokes, and kneeling beside nervous beginners whispering, "You're doing amazing. Keep going." A 6-year-old missed a shot, covered her face, and groaned. "I can't do it." Coco crouched beside her and said, "Girl, trust me, I've missed these shots way more times than you have. Wanna see one?" She proceeded to whiff a ball on purpose, complete with a theatrical fall. The girl erupted into giggles. Then she swung again, and connected. The cheers shook the fence. More than tennis, a Thanksgiving message. After an hour of drills and chaos and joy, Coco gathered the kids at center court. "I came today," she began, "because this place means something. These courts mean something. But most important, you mean something." The children sat silently, legs crossed, eyes wide. "Tennis changed my life," she said. "It gave me opportunity. It taught me discipline. But do you know what else it did?" They shook their heads. "It gave me community. Coaches. Teammates. People who believed in me even when I didn't believe in myself. That's why I'm here today, because one day, someone did for me what I hope I can do for you." It wasn't a speech. It was a gift. A Thanksgiving offering of gratitude and hope. Then came the surprise that no one expected. From behind the courts, volunteers wheeled out something massive covered in white tarp. The kids gasped. Parents started filming. Coco stepped back, feigning ignorance. A coach shouted, "Coco, do the honors!" She tugged the tarp away and beneath it stood crates of brand new rackets, baskets of balls, dozens of fresh shoes, bags of apparel, and a banner reading, "Coco Gauff Community Court Grants, for every kid who dreams."